Take you through the press conference which is being addressed by Foreign Secretary
had
Vikram Misri.
European leaders as guests of honor for our Republic Day. The leaders from the EU are accompanied by the EU High Representative for Foreign Policy and Security and Vice President of the European Commission, Her Excellency Ms. Kaja Kallas, the EU Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, as I said, Mr. Maros Sefcovic, and other senior leading officers from the Commission and the Council. Yesterday, Honorable Rashtrapati Ji received both the presidents at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The dignitaries then witnessed the Republic Day parade as guests of honor. For the first time ever, there was a EU contingent, in fact, consisting of European Union military staff and the European Union naval operations, Atalanta and Aspidus, representatives from both of these operations participating in the Republic Day parade. The EU leaders also joined Rashtrapati Ji and Prime Minister in the evening at the at-home reception at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Today, Presidents Costa and von der Leyen and Prime Minister Modi co-chaired the 16th India-EU summit. They held detailed bilateral talks, both in the restricted format and in the delegation level format. Prime Minister hosted a luncheon in honor of the visiting presidents. There were several key documents that were signed and exchanged before the leaders, including, as you have all come to know by now, the joint announcement on the conclusion of the negotiations of a landmark and historic India-EU free trade agreement, an equally important security and defense partnership agreement between the two sides, and an MOU on a comprehensive framework on cooperation on mobility, among others. Prime Minister and President von der Leyen also addressed the India-EU Business Forum in Bharat Mandapam, where more than 100 CEOs from both the sides participated. The Business Forum comes at a timely moment, straight in the wake of the completion of negotiations of the India-EU FTA, because we will need the businesses on the two sides to quickly translate the intention of the FTA into concrete outcomes. The Honorable Vice President of India would also be meeting with both the distinguished guests, and later today, President Costa and President von der Leyen will be calling on Rashtrapati Ji, who will also host a banquet in honor of the visiting dignitaries. Let me very quickly give you a broad context and flavor of this visit and the outcomes thereof. The outcomes are deeply strategic in nature, and I would urge you to look at each of the outcomes for its specific significance in the overall scheme of things between India and the European Union. Over the last decade, relations between India and the European Union have grown steadily. They have grown not just in scale, but in significance as well, as evidence from the level and the frequency of contacts and engagements between the two sides. In our fast-changing world, the strategic partnership between India and the EU has a value beyond the bilateral context, particularly as we witness shifts in the global economic, technological, and strategic landscape. As the world's second and fourth largest markets, India and the EU also have very high stakes on all critical global challenges of the day, including overdependence and concentration of global manufacturing and supply chains on a limited set of geographies, an ineffective multilateral system, emerging multipolarity, and growing protectionist tendencies in different parts of the world. And therefore, as two large pluralistic democracies and open market economies, our leaders have resolved to take this very strategic partnership forward for mutual benefit and for the greater good of the global population as a whole. Our relations got a very big boost last year with the historic visit of the EU College of Commissioners, which facilitated a whole-of-government approach to our most immediate priorities, which include some of the outcomes today. And in fact, we've seen very substantial outcomes today, underlining the strategic importance that both sides attach to the bilateral relationship and to further elevating the India-EU strategic partnership. Today's summit, the 16th India-EU summit, was held after a gap of about 5.5 years. And as I said, it is a milestone not only in terms of the outcomes, but also the quality of the outcomes, but also their numbers and the potential impact that they have. The leaders announced the successful conclusion of negotiations of the India-EU FTA. Trade and economic ties are central to this strategic partnership. EU as a bloc is one of the largest bilateral trading partners of India. Bilateral trade in 24-25 was close to $136 billion, with Indian exports of $76 billion and imports of $60 billion. Vikram
Misri speaking about India-EU partnership, about the trade deals and about how the two nations have signed on significant deals which will aim for the progress and prosperity of both the nations. It's been called unprecedented, and that's what Foreign Secretary was explaining.
Bilateral relationship, room that was hitherto unexplored and which will now be leveraged to mutual benefit by the two sides. A second very important outcome of today's meeting, especially in the overall strategic context of the relationship, is the EU-India Security and Defense Partnership, which was signed in exchange today. While we have defense and security partnerships with several individual EU member states, this framework agreement on security and defense issues between India and the EU will be a first. It will bolster our engagements in maritime security, on defense industry, on cyberspace, and on counterterrorism. Particularly, this would allow Indian defense companies to benefit from the opportunities arising from the EU's own very significant defense initiatives that are underway. The two sides have also announced the launch of negotiations for a security of information agreement, which again demonstrates the long-term and strategic view that the two sides are taking of their relationship. A third outcome that I would want to invite your attention to is the document towards 2030, an India-EU Joint Comprehensive Strategic Agenda, which is a new roadmap to reinforce our strategic partnership and set the trajectory for advancing the relations across multiple pillars. These pillars include prosperity and stability, technology and innovation, security and defense, connectivity, and people-to-people ties for the next 5 years. I would urge you to go into the details of this particular roadmap to see the depth of intensity and the breadth of coverage that we intend to bring to this relationship. Finally, the two sides also concluded an MOU on comprehensive framework on cooperation on mobility. This is again the first such mobility-related agreement that we are concluding at the EU level with any partner. For the EU, this is a first with any partner for them. The MOU will facilitate and streamline safe, regular migration, support skill development, and ease the movement of highly skilled workers, students, researchers, and seasonal workers who happen to be in occupations in demand between the two sides. The two leaders, in fact, emphasized that some of the strongest relationships between the two sides, between India and Europe, are built by the people-to-people contacts. Today, the Indian diaspora in the EU is over 1 million people. Indian professionals in Europe are making notable contributions in several fields, including information technology, healthcare, engineering, and finance. There are more than 100,000 Indian students in Europe who continue to pursue higher education in leading universities in the EU. In addition to these agreements that I have outlined, there were a number of other important understandings that were reached. This includes the announcement of projects under the India-EU trilateral partnership, the renewal of the India-EU agreement for scientific and technological cooperation until 2030, the administrative arrangement on advanced e-signatures and seals, an MOU between the Reserve Bank of India and the European Securities and Market Authority, an administrative arrangement on cooperation in disaster risk management, and again, very, very importantly, a decision to launch exploratory talks on the association of India with Horizon Europe. Horizon Europe is the world's largest public scientific research program, and India's association with this program can bring us great benefits in the future. In addition, we've constituted an India-EU task force on green hydrogen and set up a EU pilot legal gateway office in India to enhance skill mobility and launch of negotiations, as I said earlier, for an India-EU security of information agreement. So to conclude, the visit of Presidents Costa and von der Leyen to India is emblematic of our trusted and strategic partnership. We are confident that this visit will instill further momentum to deepening of India-EU ties, create more business opportunities, lead to job creation, and intensified cooperation in education and scientific research, opportunities for students, enhanced mobility for professionals and highly skilled workers, and open a new chapter in security and defense cooperation between India and the EU. I want to end by citing two quotations from the leaders at the meeting. President von der Leyen said that the world is waiting for more from EU and India. So this was really an expression of the potential that is there in this deeply, deeply strategic relationship that the two sides are now beginning to explore much more fully. And Prime Minister said during his intervention during the talks that the EU and India have put in place a blueprint for shared prosperity. I think these are the indicators of the sentiment behind the meeting today. Again, an indication of the strategic significance of this visit and of the outcomes that have marked this visit. I'll stop here. Honorable Minister would like to brief you further on the key outcome.
Thank you, Vikram. And I'd like to begin by congratulating 1.4 billion brothers and sisters in India. 140 करोड़ देशवासियों को बधाई देना चाहूँगा. Just like Foreign Secretary just articulated in great detail, this visit is extraordinary. It goes far beyond a free trade agreement. It goes far beyond the humongous potential that is being unlocked with the free trade agreement. It is truly a statement of deep partnership and the strategic intent of the European Union and India coming together in a multitude of areas to strengthen our partnership, to work together for the shared prosperity and a better future for 1/3 of humanity. It is a reflection that when 25% of global trade decides to strengthen the strategic partnership, including with the free trade agreement, it unlocks the doors to defense cooperation, greater investments, to cooperation in the field of innovation and science, to further integration of financial markets, And therefore, I would term this visit, as very rightly pointed out by the Honorable Foreign Secretary, as a game-changing and transformational visit in terms of the strategic partnership between European Union and India. And therefore, I think congratulations are in order to Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, to Her Excellency Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, and His Excellency Mr. Antonio da Costa, the President of the European Council. They have provided visionary leadership, which has further been strengthened with colleagues from almost all parts of government in both the European Union and India. Everybody playing their role to prepare the roadmap and lay the foundation for a very powerful economic, geopolitical, and strategic partnership of the 21st century. We are also very pleased to have concluded negotiations on, as Ms. von der Leyen herself has articulated, the mother of all deals, a free trade agreement which covers 25% of global trade. It is our 8th free trade agreement under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, each and every one of them with developed nations and collectively reflecting an agreement between India and 36 developed nations.